Hi everybody from sunny Spirit Lake, Iowa. This is Tom Matuska from the Matuska Taxidermy Supply Company with Brett Wingfield. And this is our Thursday Live. And today we're going to talk to you about small mammal rock bases. Making your own rocks, how to paint your rocks, a little bit about habitat, hanging systems, just about everything that it takes to make a little mini diorama for your mammal. And I think it's probably important to wish Mandy Matuska and, Mandy Swart and Brett Swart, and congratulations on baby Emerson, who was born Monday at about 2 o'clock and 7 pounds 4 ounces. Beautiful little baby girl, and it was quite something to see that little thing. I bet she's watching.
Yes, and she would like to say thank you for all the congratulations. And Mandy and the baby got to go home today, and they are doing great.
Wow. So congratulations to her. And we're kind of winging it without her, and I think we're doing pretty good. We'll find
so
out.
far.
It's
only been 2 days.
I know, it's been 2 days. We're running around here like chickens with our heads cut off. But we'll see what we can do with our live without our producer, and try to make her proud. And
She gave us some really good start, though.
And I'm sure she's watching too, so we will have to, I know, eye contact into the camera. If you haven't noticed already, I've been watching and enunciate because of the microphone, and so we're going to try to talk loudly for you, and we're going to try to get good pictures for you and give you a little insight into how to make habitat bases.
So this would be our 3rd installment on the small mammal habitats. We started with a foam base and then built Mache over. Rather than using pre-formed rocks or pre-sculpted rocks, these would be custom rocks, custom Mache rocks.
And there's a lot of good rock companies on the market. You know, Habitat Rock is a good product, and no matter what kind of rock bases you use, if you want to use the preformed rock panels and put them together, you can do that. And we all kind of get to the same goal in the end, something for our animals to go on that complements the mammal, fish, bird, whatever it happens to be, and color-wise complements it and reproduces their natural habitat. And this is, to start with, you saw, like Brett said, Amber started, and you and Amber started doing the foam rocks, carving them, and you can go that route. There's a lot of different ways to make bases. The first base I ever made of any significance was a mountain lion base for a friend of mine, and I knew nothing other than square. I didn't know that you could cut the corners off, make octagons and a little bit more artistic bases. And I made a nice square base. I had 2x4s for the mountain lion's feet to rest on. I covered the entire thing with screen. I was familiar with fiberglass. This was 40 years ago. Fiberglass was around 40 years ago. It's around 100 years ago. And I fiberglassed the screen, and I had the most god-awful square base. It looked like I had taken cardboard boxes and put them for the mountain lion feet to rest on, and fiberglassed it. And after working with it and looking at it, and then I covered it with gravel because I didn't know how to make rocks. Covered it with gravel and sand, and I had, looked like 3 cardboard boxes covered with sand, and the mountain lion stood on it. And after that, I kind of learned around the corners a little bit, and I still had a square base. But this was a Bobcat, it's a customer Bobcat, and we've altered it into a laying down pose. And after the foam has all been covered with Mache, now it's time to paint it. And you can see, let me tip it back once. This is what it looked like under here. You can just paint that, I think. This is the Mache after it dries. It dries to a little bit of a, I guess, a variegated gray kind of color. There's additives in the rock Mache. There's, I think there's vermiculite, there's different cellulose and different things that take paint differently. So you'll get some pretty nice color variations by painting it. This is part of it that we have started painting. We've got some rust painted in here. We have some grays, and we're going to show you, give you a whole bunch of different samples of colors that we like to use in the shop. You want to make it simple. You don't want to make it very difficult. The first rock that I ever made, I made a mold of a rock, a rubber latex mold. Made an auto body rock, and I was so impressed. Now, we've told you time and time again in this business, the secret to making something look lifelike is texture color. Yeah. Two things, that's all you have to worry about. If you copy the texture, that's usually the easiest part. Color is the second part. Color and texture. So I have the texture with the rock, with the mold that I made, and now I have this plastic rock. So I thought, well, I'm going to go up to the hardware store, and I carried this 60-pound rock through the door, put it in a cart, wheeled it back to the paint section, and I thought I could identify about 5 or 6 different colors in that rock. And so I'm taking colors off the shelf and having them mix me different little quarts of paint, and I carry my rock and all my paint home. And my first rock that was about the size of a couple loaves of bread, not a very big one, my first rock took me 6 hours to paint. And I sat at the kitchen table after supper one night, and I painted, and 6 hours later, I thought it was pretty darn good. You know, I'm pretty proud of myself. The more you do, the faster you get, and the better it goes. But some of the things we like to paint with are latex house paints.
Yes. Yep.
Works good.
Yep. Very good.
We have used a lot of, in the past, our acrylic airbrush paints and woods and waters paints, wildlife colors, those type of paints. What else do we have for paint?
Hobby paints, simple hobby.
Oh, that's a good one, yeah.
Work pretty good. They're readily available.
Craft paints, like you get in the, like you get them in the little plastic bottles, full cart paints, and those.
Yeah.
We use those quite a bit.
Another great coloration method, and we've been using it for more and more things. We found PanPastels to work really well for it, so much so that we put together a habitat kit or rock kit. So that's kind of exciting. We'll show you some of that too. But I think just get yourself a real rock and look at it and figure out a method to get from here to there. We've got our own kind of favorites, each of us different here in the shop. We'll probably use just a slightly different method to get there, but there's some real basics that I think Tom's going to show you today on how to get started with it. Build a nice base.
I always tell the story in the Iowa Taxidermy Association's infancy. There was a very active member. His name was Jerome Sokolik. And Jerome Sokolik was an elderly man. Probably not so then. Now looking back, he's probably younger than I am now. But Jerome made probably one of the nicest free-form rocks out of Mache that we'd ever seen. And he would carve pieces of fish bone, and he would cover it with Mache, texture it with a sponge, and we do a lot of that texturing. We can't do anything without our little sea sponges. Textured it with a sponge, and he would paint it. And Jerome, we would have, you know, summer gatherings or winter gatherings where Jerome would put on a rock painting seminar, rock making and painting. And just like we have deer nose books and deer ears and bobcat nose books, you know, I mean, we can go to all our reference pictures. He had 2 or 3 binders full of rock pictures. He could make lichen, he could make rocks of any color, and just as we urge you to use reference no matter what you're doing, Jerome did it on his rocks. He had books and books and books of rocks. You want to make limestone, let's go to the limestone section. You want to make, you know, shale, let's go to the shale section. And I was just amazed at the effort he went to copy realism, and that's what will give you a real rock. Well, let's get started on this. We have 3 different sections here. We have one that's raw mache, not been touched. This one has been painted with a dark color, and then this one has had some rust added to it. My method, and it's probably backwards to a lot of you, my method is to start dark and go light. A lot of people start light and go dark. I'm not sure there's a right or a wrong. It's just what I do.
Yep.
So to start with, let your mache dry completely. Make sure it's all dry. We kind of rushed this one. I finished it up this afternoon. I stuck it out in the sun, and
Which helps a lot.
Brought it in, and it was toasty warm. And I'm just going to use. We have a rock pit or rock pit. We have a rock kit, paint kit, that we've used for years and years and years, and it's acrylic latex paints, and we have, what do we have? 3 or 4?
Yeah.
We have Utah shale, we have Colorado shale, we have Utah red, we have Canadian brown.
Wow, yeah.
I think there's 3 different colors, and there will be 4 colors. This is my dark gray base, and that's what I'm going to start with. Now, if you get mixed up and you paint the lighter color first, you may come out with a way better rock than I ever dreamed of. There's not a right or wrong. Most of this stuff that we show you, I mean, deer ears, yes, there's a right and a wrong. Bobcat noses, right and wrong. You know, pectoral fins on a fish, rights and wrongs. Rock colors, how could you go wrong? You know, if the rock doesn't look very realistic, you're copying nature, you know, you're God for a day. Maybe God had an off day and he made an ugly rock, but
There are some ugly rocks out there. That's for sure.
You're going to make something that you think the customer will be happy with. So I'm going to basically use 4 colors. I have, this is a light gray and a dark gray. Now the Canadian brown is going to be a dark brown and a light brown. The Utah red shale is going to be a deep brown and a rust color, orangey color.
Orange, yeah.
But I start out with 2 base colors. Now, Amber's doing this. She'll grab craft paints and she'll mix up all kinds of fancy colors, you know. And yeah, there's not a right or wrong. And we have a couple colors which help me depict rust.
Yep, I like that.
So my thinking is, if I paint a gray rock, it looks just gray, not too good. I gotta add something to it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna paint the rock a couple different colors gray, and then my thought process is, as it rains, there's mineral in the rocks, and water runs down all the crevices and cracks. So when you make your rocks, the more of this that you have, the more texture, you know, little cracks, stress, things like that, the easier it is to add color and make some really nice differences. Smooth rocks for me are pretty difficult to make, very realistic. I need a whole lot of different cracks and fissures and things like that. Then, so as it rains, the water runs down in those cracks and it starts to turn rusty. This is what my mind does. Okay, not turn rusty. This is how my mind thought process. And yes, it does turn rusty. So as the water recedes, it's in the deepest crack the longest. So the wider around the crack, we're going to have some rust like this. It's a yellow ochre color. Deep down in the crack, it's going to have a hue of this. We might have you do some of this with PanPastels.
Yeah.
So you can do the same thing with the powders that you can do with this. After the water's all gone, deep down in that little crack, it's going to be a rich, deep brown, and you can do that with a fine brush. You can make it look pretty sharp. So, like I said, I start with something dark. This is my Colorado gray shale.
So this is the deep base gray.
And I'm just using, they call them a chip brush, and they're cheap little brushes, under 50 cents. And the reason I prefer this brush is because I don't take care of my brushes, and they harden up on me. And if I lose them, I don't have to feel so bad.
And it looks like we have a couple new live viewers. If there's ever a week that you are unable to tune into our Thursday lives, we do have our YouTube channel. So make sure to subscribe to that. It is Matuska Taxidermy Supply Company, and all of our live videos will be posted on there.
Okay, and I just use that brush to scrub it down into the cracks and porous areas.
So you're really working it down into the texture.
Yeah, now if you do have some that doesn't get painted, I wouldn't rush to fix it. Let it be and see what it looks like in the end. This is a base that one of the students, David Compton, did for his Bobcat that he mounted, and there's a lot of raw mache showing through here, and it actually looks pretty realistic.
It looks
real
very
nice.
Very, very nice.
And as you look at this, we're going to come up with something like this in a different color scheme. But as you look at this, I call them elements, for lack of another word and to sound really important. But the rock is an element. I don't know if you can see up in here, there's dirt all over, like dirt on the underneath side. That's another element to your base. This vine is an element. The pine is an element. The little snake between his feet, which there isn't, would be an element. You know, the more elements you can gracefully put in, the better it's going to look and the more fun you can have.
And that's a good point. This should be fun. This is the best part. This is the coloring should be easy, fun. Let your mind go with it a little bit.
And if something goes wrong, and that is the worst looking rock you've ever seen in your life, take a damp rag or your sponge and wipe it off. You can even take that mache rock to the sink and you can spray it off the hose. You know, it doesn't, you haven't ruined anything. Try again.
Sometimes those are the best ones. Get painted a few times.
Okay, now I would let this dry. If I can find, I think maybe, let's see if I can find another spot to this rock. Okay, the top.
So you're letting it dry good between coats. So
Yeah,
you put your deep base color on.
Is that unpainted? I've got several portions of this rock in different stages. Okay, now here's a portion of the rock that's been painted dark. That's all it's done. I have lots of, this is where the Bobcat lays. I've got holes. Don't cover up your holes, because if you have that animal standing with his wires or rods and you mache over those, that, you know, is going to cause you difficulties in the end. So the next color I'm going to put on is I'm going to take the lighter color of the gray.
Yeah. So this is the deep base color that has dried.
Correct.
Same as what you just put on. You can see there's an awful lot of texture through here that this is going to really help pick up some of these subtle textures, will help pick up those other colors as Tom starts putting on some lighter tones. That texture will really help you.
I'm going to use the same brush. I'm going to rinse it out. Now you can make, we use these, gosh, we use them for everything, these type of rocks. We make fish bases. You can probably look at that tur over there. Kind of a messy little storage area, but that tur is on a bunch of rocks similar to this. Now those are fiberglass rocks that we made, Bondo rocks, but you can see all the rust in them and things like that. Painted the same way as these. I like to have a very thin mixture of my next color. So I usually use a plate, but I'm just gonna put a little bit of that thin color on a piece of wax paper. I'm going to add water to it to get it very, very diluted. And I don't know which is going to work best. This little puddle might work best, that might work best, or that might work best. We're going to play with it as we go. I'm going to take my sponge. I don't know what this is going to do, so I'm just going to start. Let's see.
I bet you know what it's gonna do. Ooh, that's nice.
And I'm just trying to create a mottled kind of texture over the dark. I don't want now if I did want the rock darker, I maybe wouldn't put on such light color. The first rock that I ever did, we backpacked out of the mountains in Colorado, and that was the one I carried into the paint shop, and it's still laying down below where UPS picks up, and I was going to bring it up today, and it's not very colorful like it used to be for some reason.
I bet it is, but I bet it's a lot heavier.
Well, it's maybe my eyes have lost their ability to discern color, I'm afraid. Okay, now I'm just putting some on here, and then I'm going to come in with a brush, and I'm going to...
That's already really starting to come around.
You can do... Now the object is I want the darker color to come through. Now sometimes, some of the best rocks I do, I think, oh, I made it way too light, so I'll give it a wash afterwards, and I'll take the dark color and make it, I'm going to just put some striations in here, like layers. And you can do a wash with the bright color, with the dark color, which is kind of fun. Now, you could use oil paints, you could use tempera paints, there's whatever you're familiar with. Oil paints, to me, probably dry a little too slow, but you could blend them, come up with some really pretty ones.
You could make a competition piece just out of the rock. I think there's even a habitat category at the World Show last year.
There are some tremendous artistic people out there.
There are.
I am nothing more than a wannabe. You know, something like that. Now, if you got a little too light, come in and maybe try to take some water in your brush, and you can get rid of some of that.
Yeah.
Then Don Smith would like to know if we have any videos on our PanPastels, and we do. They can be found either on our Facebook page under videos or on our YouTube page, where we have all of our videos posted. And then another quick reminder is Father's Day is just around the corner, and if you are struggling to find something for that special man in your life, we have created a wonderful collection on our website. It is labeled Father's Day Gifts, gift ideas, so you can go there and check them out. And right next to that is our top sellers from the World Show that you can also check out.
Be careful with the different paints that you pick out. For a long time, we would go to the store and we'd pick out a nice deep gray, and depending on the light, it looked blue, like baby blue. And I went to a lot of shows with some of my sheep mounts, and oh my gosh, they looked terrible. That's
blue sheep.
I think it's called a bias, where your black actually is biased towards the blue scheme, and you can kind of make things look funny in different light. So
as long as they don't ask about light.
About light?
Yeah. About what light to use and what light not
Gotta
to
have
use.
some. Yeah, just turn it on. Okay, now this is nothing more than dark gray and light gray. Nothing more. So now, this is going to scare you. I'm going to take this bright, old, gaudy yellow ochre, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put a little bit of it on my paper, and a little bit of my water, which is now getting kind of dirty because I've been washing my brush in it. And you make a happy little tree. Oh my, do I look like Bob Ross? Okay, now I have very diluted yellow ochre. This is nothing more than my style. You're gonna come up with your own. And remember, the rust ran down in that little crack. It ran down in this little crack. And it was really a torrential downpour that night. Kind of flowed all over here. Rained for days. All that stuff's rusting. How am I doing? Doing good? And now, I'm just gonna sponge that out and let that yellow hue kind of extend past. Every place I can find, that's why I like to say, the more cracks and crevices I have, I like that.
I think you had one of your Australian friends just comment.
Yes, there. Ryan Perry says hello from Australia.
Hello, Ryan. And we just got a whole big shipment of Tim Tams from Dennis Grundy from Australia. And Mandy is gonna enjoy those as she recovers.
I saved one out. Vicky brought some back here, and I saved one for Mandy.
And hello to all of our new viewers. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, we will be doing Facebook Lives every Thursday starting next week. We will be going to our summer hours, which will start at 3:30 to 4:30 Central Time.
So we can get out and go fishing and boating.
Right.
And
we get to have summer Thursday.
Surfing in Okoboji, right?
Yeah, surfing, the new water sport.
Caitlin, our camera girl, this is not her real job. Her real job is Okoboji Surf.
Boji Surf
Boji
Co.
Surf.
Oh, too funny.
Any of you that are not from around here, this is a pretty hopping tourist area. Mm-hmm. And we have West Okoboji, East Okoboji, Spirit Lake. We got some tremendous lakes. And now we have a surf shop.
Yeah, and Okoboji was just featured in New York Times for one of the places to visit. Top 25 places to visit.
We don't want you to visit. Maybe you guys that are watching can visit. We don't want everybody to visit.
It's the best kept secret vacation spot, as people like to call it.
That's a good compliment.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm trying to make something I like. That's what it
That's
is.
hard.
You know, as you're doing this, it doesn't look good, it doesn't look good, it doesn't look good. Ooh, it kind of looks good. You know, and little by little, you come up with something.
Now you know what I go through every day, trying to make something that Tom likes.
Yeah. You were in the video. You say that.
Sarah DeJournet. I am not sure if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, but she says hi, so hello.
Hello. Okay, something like that. Now you can put as much color on here as you want. If you get it too much, use a damp sponge. Get rid of some of it. Spread it a little bit. Okay, now we have a yellow hue to our gray. Now I'm going to do the same thing with a real deep rust color. You're gonna figure out what you're going to do here.
I think you got it.
No, you got the. You were Mr. Pan. Okay, now I'm just going to do this, and I'm not going to spread it out not quite as far as I did the yellow ochre. And this is a deep oxide color.
That's looking cool.
Bill Jensen says that he loves the rock kits that he bought. We are glad that you are enjoying them.
And the faster you get, some of these, we do some, I don't know, pretty big ibex and sheep bases and mountain goat bases, and we do them all the same way. A lot of times you'll ask the customer, you know, what kind of terrain was it, and they'll bring you pictures. And when I started making my version of these type of rocks, I did a lot of shows and a lot of Foundation North American Wild Sheep was my go-to show. And I would go to some of these bigger shows and I would take my mounts and I'd have this unbelievably cool mountain goat coming down the shale slide, all my rocks, and people would come up and say, those are like the coolest rocks I've ever seen in my life. What about the goat? You know, I'm here for the goat. And the rocks were always a hit. Not so much the taxidermy work, but the rocks were. And you can, again, you can do as much yellow as you want. You can do as much as light gray as you want. You can do as much deep rust that you want. You're gonna strike on a color scheme that you like. And again, this, you may not get there with just the paint. It might take some gravel and sand on top. It might take some pine. It might take some, you know, other elements.
That's very true. When you start adding the rest of this, right now we're looking at it just as the rock itself, but with a little bit of soil and some greenery, an animal in its place, these things really start to come to life.
Turn it up one.
And make sure to also follow us on our Instagram page, Matuska _ taxidermy, and then also our Twitter page, which is Matuska Supply Co.
Holy cow.
Yeah, we have a lot going on these days.
Tell me what we got.
Yeah. So we have our YouTube page that has all of our videos, which is Matuska Taxidermy Supply Company. And then we have our Instagram page, which is Matuska _ taxidermy. And then our Twitter page, which is Matuska Supply Co.
Like with Donald?
Like what?
With Donald Trump's Twitter, right?
Yes, yes.
Really?
That, yes.
Like, does he see us? Do we come across
He
his
might.
feed?
He might.
Maybe he'll comment.
Maybe he'll start tuning into our lives.
Okay, now, I guess I should, let me dry that for just a second here.
Denny Riggs would like to know what would be a good base color for limestone like he has in southern Missouri.
Something lighter.
I would think from possibly the Mache itself.
The Mache itself.
So more of a raw Mache look. You might, rather than color it with a heavy base color, you might eliminate the heavy base and just start with some of the washes, and let the lighter
And I think
stone
that's
come through.
what this is too. This is a lot of, I think this is kind of a limestone attempt with kind of light color through here. And I think this has been sponged off, so it's been painted, probably almost dry, and then take your sponge and hit off, you know, a lot of the areas. But get your limestone rock that you want to copy, set it right down in front of you, and see what you think. I'm just going to take this water pen. I didn't intend to promote the water pen, but I'm going to just put little rusty streaks in the cracks, and this is where my water stayed deep down in the cracks when it rained, and it just, all that mineral in that rock rusted. Any place you have a fissure or any kind of a little crack, even if it's a crack in your Mache, which it wouldn't be in our Mache, but Look at that, isn't that kind of neat? And if you get it in there too heavy, take your sponge and just dab it with the sponge. And you can use any kind of paintbrush. I just grabbed this because I had it laying on my table.
So when you mentioned using the real rock and painting with a rock right next to you, kind of nice to help bring out the colors of those real rocks to wet them, at least show where some of the color is a little bit better. You don't have to paint it quite as bright as it shows, but at least it will show you some of the variation of color. Some of those rocks that look pretty monotone in just sitting in the woods, if you pick them up and wash them off, there's all kinds of neat color in there.
Were you a rock licker when you were a kid?
No.
Didn't you ever lick a rock to see how pretty it was?
I can honestly say I've never licked a rock.
Were you, Tom?
Yes. Didn't you ever see a rock and think, oh, it's pretty if it was wet, but you don't have any way of getting it wet, so you lick it?
I have not joined the club yet. Maybe it's something.
Oh my gosh, that's gonna be a thing.
I don't know. Is that the new challenge? The rock challenge?
The rock liquor challenge. I remember our old rock videos. Remember the old rock video?
Yes, I do.
Rock video. There might be a few viewers around that still remember that. Yeah. This is not the first time we've painted rocks on video, is it?
No. This is, so here's unpainted. On the back we have all the dark color. Here, let me see if I can drop this thing. I'll spin it around. There we go.
Bob Fothery mounting stand holds that rock pretty nice, doesn't it?
It does. Here's the dark color. This is with light shade. Here's with some of the rust put on, which I just did on the front. I might just dry this a little bit for you, and you can show them some.
Can I play with the PanPastels? I think that's going to be fun.
So the Nebraska show is coming up June 13th through 15th, but Tom and the crew will not be there because it falls on Father's Day, but Brett will be. Hello, Brett.
Covering for us.
Yes.
Thank you. I apologize to Nebraska.
Gallon Barrett says that could be a new T-shirt slogan: "Licking rocks."
You a rock licker? I guess maybe it's because. Did you ever have a rock polisher?
Yes.
And then you never polished them long enough, you know, when you want to see what they look like?
Yes.
And that's where I guess I licked
You
rocks.
licked it to see. Okay. Okay.
Okay. Now, this part is kind of what I'm after. You know, something like that. I could lighten it up. I could darken it up. I could red it up. And show them some stuff.
Yeah.
There's more than one way to skin a cat. And we're going to show you a few things, and this is nothing compared to what's out there.
Oh man, there's a thousand different opportunities, and you've seen us talk about these PanPastels on several occasions, and it just lends itself to some of these easy
Color, if you need a color.
easy applications. I think there's some neat stuff here. I might even look for something in a little bit more of an olivey greeny color. I might take on just a little bit of change. We've got a really nice gray, but I can see some of these starting to change. So
Is this not your favorite color ever right here?
might be. Yeah, that's a pretty cool one. But I think we're just going to take some of this and kind of show you that these PanPastels, this is an applicator that comes with the kit. With this real soft sponge, we can apply color just to the high spots. Just start using some of these other tones in. So this works really well. Notice it's leaving the low areas and just kind of accenting on the highs. I'm gonna wreck your rock, Tom.
You go. You go.
But that seems to work very well. In
Two different ways.
larger applications. Now I'm gonna go to a little bit of an accent. And we've got some nice dark yellow ochre, extra dark. Come in and add just a little bit of that. And notice we're not obliterating the base color. The base color still stays underneath, but this is a nice covering, layering color, and it's very soft. Very, very soft application. So very convincing. Then we can go to something with a little more contrast. And I'll do this very sparingly. But we can pick up some hotter colors too. In this little bit of yellow. Scary.
It's hot.
It is very hot. I think we can come in here and softly apply some of the yellows, just as Tom did with that yellow ochre. He did it wet, and this is kind of a similar application, but
And you're using these dry, but you could use them wet too.
Definitely, absolutely, yeah, you could definitely use them wet. So this is the little soft sponge applicator, and it's kind of getting some of that material down onto the rock where I like to have it, but I'd like to be able to soften it just a little bit more. I'm going to take a stiff bristled brush and just kind of softly blend that out.
And if you haven't done so already, make sure to share this video for a chance to win next week. If you can't tune in to live right now, you are able to share until next Thursday when we pick our winner.
Very fun. Do that again,
Fred Burt's shared 5 times.
Perfect.
Have you ever applied PanPastels with various artist brushes?
Yes. Yep.
Okay,
And that
John.
works very well.
Yes, John Bellucci
Sure,
says
yeah,
that it
sure.
works great for
Hi, John.
weathering.
Absolutely. Yep.
How's my otter coming?
So you can see we kind of have that soft, blended out softly there. And now I'm going to come in with a little bit of rust. Similar to what Tom had done earlier, and we're just going to build a little bit of that rust color. And I'm going to apply each one of these layers a little lighter than the one previous.
He says, your otter, question mark?
We'll soften it up just a little bit like so. You can see these colors go on very, very lightly, and the nice thing about the PanPastels, they do wipe off. If you wanted to remove most of the color, you can certainly do that.
Now, do you seal in between? I noticed you haven't.
I'm not, because I kind of like how they blend together. You certainly could if you had a nice base that you really wanted to keep as a true color. You could definitely seal in between, and to do that workable Fixity F works really well. Something that's not going to give a terrible unnatural sheen. You can put it on very lightly, and it does the job of locking down the powder work.
Douglas.
Oops. As you're looking at rocks, look close at the colors. At a distance, rocks look gray and brown, and black and things like that, or white. Look really close for individual colors.
Douglas Biddle would like to know, how often do you seal your colors?
That's really up to you, Doug. That's something that is each time you seal it, you're going to build depth and build some layers. So if you wanted to seal in between, you certainly can. But I'm doing this without several layers, and I kind of like the soft effect I'm getting.
That's looking really pretty.
John says right now he is in deer head mounting mode, but the otter stuff will be back soon enough, and he is on coffee break.
Coffee break.
Spending his coffee break watching live. That's what we like to hear.
And Tom had some really fun kind of rust striations running through the rock. I think that's a very natural look. I'm going to continue that and kind of accent some of those. So being a little bit more direct in where we want to put it. And then just kind of buffing it, blending them in. I like this stuff. You can do a lot with this.
Mandy better text in and tell us how we're doing.
She did. She said, so far so good. She commented saying, looking good, guys. So said sound was good and everything. So hopefully we're doing great without you.
Well, we missed her.
Yes, my first time alone. So hopefully I'm doing good.
You're doing good. And one of these Thursdays, we're going to have to go out and watch you surf.
Yeah.
Oh,
that might be the line.
No, funny. What are you using to seal it?
A workable Fixity F is our choice, and that is that was a recommendation from our friends at PanPastels. They recommended this. It's made specifically for chalks and charcoals and powder in the art industry. Works very well. It doesn't build up really fast, and it dries very quickly.
It's very helpful for me for the Pearlex because Pearlex, we used to seal it with any of the glosses, like the Krylon glosses and things like that. And the minute you hit it with any kind of gloss, it's like it laid down or it muted it very badly. And this Fixity F is great. It sets it, keeps the vibrance.
Mandy says that we are rocking it in quotations. She says she doesn't think she needs to come back, winky face. Well, we are excited for your fast return.
Yeah. But lots of fun stuff you can do. We could sit and kind of work in this one area over and over, but you can see these do have a pretty wide. This applicator, I believe there's a couple of even bigger. It goes on pretty quick if you wanted to really cover some area. And I'm using this just because it's a nice contrast and you can see it. We're gonna probably cover it all up with dirt.
We're finding people are liking the PanPastels because they're afraid to use the airbrush for different things like bird bills and that sort of thing and different areas on fish or mammals, and they seem to, I get a lot of people telling me they have more control with the powders. If they do a whoops, they wipe it off, you know. If they like what they got, they spray it.
There's no whoops. Aren't they just all happy little mistakes?
Yeah. Happy little mistakes.
I'm gonna have an afro with my hair next week.
An afro?
Yeah, Bob Ross.
There we go.
Little mistakes. But there you can kind of see the showing off the ease of use of the PanPastels and how nicely they work in your rock applications. So
see, now look how fast that is, how fast you can do that compared to what I did with the water pen. You know, it's like way faster.
you can cover it. It covers quickly, and I like the fact that it's not solid. You can keep, depending upon your touch and your applicator, you can keep it just on the high spots, or we can work it just down into the little nooks and crannies, into the low spots, if we wanted to kind of change that look around. Same thing here. We could go with the micro applicators and just really accent all of the little fine cracks. Let me try that one time quick.
Yeah, you can use, sometimes we use Q-tips, micro applicators, which is like a micro Q-tip, paintbrushes of all sizes, makeup brushes. Like you said, they have different sizes of those sponge applicators.
Yeah. Just put a little, kind of a real purposeful little accent down in the low cracks here.
Now this light is a very cool LED light, so it isn't giving you true colors.
Denny Riggs says that he is only using PanPastels now to finish his deer heads.
We have a lot of deer head guys that are really liking it. I think there's some great opportunities there. Now I'm just going to soften that just ever so slightly.
I think David did his Bobcat nose today with PanPastels.
Get another look at that from a little different angle.
Looks wonderful.
Kind of rocky.
Kind of rocky.
Well, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. Really, get your real rocks out. Get all your different paint mediums in front of you and just play with it a little bit. I should go ahead and seal it. You like it enough to seal it? Seal it. That wasn't a yes.
Yes, absolutely. This sealer's really an excellent product. And if you're doing bird bills or fish, I've noticed any of you that have PanPastels and aren't kind of liking you're putting them on and your colors are doing funny things, I found that if I'm trying to make a Mallard Bill kind of yellow and I keep putting more and more and more on, I'm not getting it. I've got a white bill underneath. I'm not getting the intensity of the yellow. Seal in between coats. Yes. Put on a yellow, give it a dusting of sealer, let it dry. It dries really fast. Come in and put more and build it up in layers so you get the vibrance you want.
You can see I can touch any of this. I don't have it coming off on my hands at all. Works very, very well.
James McGregor says, hello, Brett, from Advanced.
Yes, from Toronto.
Oh, yeah.
James.
And now, sometimes we'll even get it all done and we'll come in and give it a wash too.
Yeah,
so,
sure.
And a wash would be like very, very thin paint, is depending on what color you want. Usually we use something dark and mix it into a real mud puddle type, intensity, and sponge it on the whole works, and it will go down and it'll deepen all your cracks and all of your detail, and we kind of do that with a lot of different things, give them washes.
Yep, that works very well. Find out if James has his PanPastels yet. If he doesn't, he needs some.
And what are we giving away? Are we giving something?
Yes, we are giving away an awesome prize this week. It is our PanPastel Habitat kit, and the winner, so either Jason Ware or Ed D. If either of you are on, make sure to give us a comment, so we will wait a couple moments for that. And just a reminder too, if you're just tuning in, to share this video. You have until next Thursday till we choose our winner for that.
And I think, is that like 10 PanPastels in it?
It is. It's a 10-well kit. We picked it specifically for rocks and habitat, much like what we have here today in front of us. That's a big one. That's a good one.
And it looks like Jason has checked in, so congratulations on the awesome prize.
And the way we pick these colors is we go through all of the colors and we go, oh man, that would really make a good you know, shale color, or that would really make a good frog color, or whatever it happens to be. So I guess we're the one, I shouldn't tell them that. It's not like it comes from the company as a reptile kit. We reptilize them.
They are. They're hand selected. We picked them based on their application. We did try to keep some of the kits pretty unique so they don't have repeated colors in them. I'm excited about the rock kit, the habitat kit. That one's
Well, look how easy that was.
And
That's pretty fast.
Yeah.
Fred Burtz would like to know why the PanPastel Birds kit does not have red in it.
So you will buy another
and I can answer that because when we first put these together, our goal was not to repeat colors. So there are a couple different bird kits, and it was tough. It was really tough to limit it down to just the essential 10 for a specific bird kit. We've since learned the error of our ways. We've expanded our individuals, so there are some individual colors that you can add to those. Our thought was these are going to give you 10 real good solid basics, and then you could add to the kit to establish the outside.
And don't forget too, you can mix these.
Yes.
Any of the colors can be, I mean, you can mix them almost like liquid paints. You know, they're pretty easy. Just scrape out a little bit and mince them together, and you can make all kinds of different colors with them. Yeah.
Okay, well, don't forget to tune in next Thursday, and remember our live switches to 3:30 Central Time, and our topic for next week will be painting fish eye blanks.
Oh, that'll be an exciting one.
I thought we said something else. That's hard. We'll try to figure it out sometime between now and next Thursday.
It may change, who knows. But remember to give this video a share and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Matuska Taxidermy Supply Company, where this will be posted about, let's say, an hour after this. And also a quick reminder that we have our 15% off that is active until tomorrow night at 11:59 p.m. And that includes all the products that we talked about and used in our Facebook Live video today.
Yep. Hey, happy Father's Day to all fathers out there.
Good point.
Yep,
Yes.
big weekend coming up. Yeah, that's pretty exciting.
And Nebraska people, hope you have a great show. Brian Olson will be there. We're going to have some of Brian's mule deer.
Yep.
Mule deer earliners, mule deer, probably a couple of the new whitetail. XP whitetail, so be sure to give those a try. I think there will be a discount, show discount. Anything that we don't have there, we're not going to have a very big, you know, it's not going to be a 6-booth display, but we will have a special. If you want to order any of our products, we will extend our discounts, you know, throughout the coming week.
All right, well, we will see you guys next week.
Thanks, everybody.
Good night.